In Flanders Field, poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row, that marks our place, and in the sky, the larks so bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below. We are dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Field. Take up or quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high, if you break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep through poppies grow in Flanders Field. Anyway, so this poem, it was written by John McRae, and I think first I'm going to summarize sort of what the literal meaning of the poem is. So this poem is about a group of speakers, and they are all soldiers in the First World War. And a few times they sort of describe and they witness the beauties of their surroundings, like the birds singing and the poppies sort of blooming and all that. But it turns out later in the poem that they all died and they were buried in Flanders Fields. And sort of towards the end of the poem, the speakers, they sort of want the readers to continue their fight because unfortunately they passed away and they can't do it anymore. You know, and they said that if the readers don't finish what they started, then they'll never rest in peace, which is completely true. And also in this poem, it follows a certain poetic form. So the poetic form to this is, it's rhymes. And the rhyming scheme is sort of irregular, it kind of changes between each stanza. So in the first stanza, the rhyme scheme goes A, B, B, and C. So the first two rhyme, then the second, the last one doesn't. And then in the second stanza, it goes A, B, C. So the first rhyme, the second doesn't, and neither does the third. And then the last one, it's A, B, B, C, then D. So first two rhyme, the second two lines rhyme, the last one doesn't, and the last two don't rhyme with each other at all, or the other ones. In this poem, there's also a fair bit of imagery that really kind of paints and sets that picture every time I read it. So I think I'd say sort of imagery that pops in my head is when they're talking about the birds and how they're singing bravely, and how the poppies are blooming and growing in the fields, but they can't really hear it because of the gunshots. There's probably a war going on, artillery barrage, and things like that. So it really paints a picture of like these beautiful birds singing and these lovely poppies kind of like blooming, growing, sort of blood red color. But that's kind of at the very outskirts. You can't really hear it or see or really appreciate it much because of the chaos and the destruction and all that from the war. And I think sort of a phrase from the poem that I really like is between the crosses, row on row, that marks our place. And really, sort of the meaning behind that one is unfortunately quite sad. So basically there's rows of crosses, and those crosses, they are graves of sort of fallen soldiers who have unfortunately passed away, and they were buried in Flanders Field. There are also a handful of literary devices used in the poem. The first one is a rhyme. Here's sort of an example. In Flanders Field, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row. So this, kind of back to at the beginning when I mentioned the rhyme scheme. This one would be the AA. The last word rhymes with the last word at the end of each line. And I really enjoy like rhyming. I think makes the poem sound a whole lot better. It kind of just feels right, and it's much easier to listen to, memorize. And along with rhyming, there is repetition. So a few times in the poem, at the end of stanza number 2 and 3, it says "in Flanders Field," and I really like the repetition in this poem because reminds us, as the readers, the main idea, and then it kind of makes us think sort of how the rest of the poem and all the lines reflect about that main idea, about how it's in Flanders Field and all that. And so last but not least, just the main theme, the basic idea of what the author wanted everyone who reads this to know, to take with them. So I think what he wants us to know is that in life, it's sort of guaranteed that you're going to get down and things aren't going to go your way. But he wants everyone to just see the beauty in everything, even though it seems impossible. I think the author wants the readers to enjoy everything life has to offer and live life to the fullest. Most importantly, he wants us to carry the torch and continue their fights that the brave soldiers fought for us. You know, they fought for freedom, justice, and peace. And unfortunately, even though the First World War didn't end anything and it contributed to the start of the second one, it does have a very big historical impact on the way we do things, and we need to honor all those who fought for us and passed away. I really like this poem because it does cover my favorite topics, which are sort of the First World Wars and history and all that. And it does shed light on the very harsh conditions that all the soldiers had to put up with. However, it does still give me hope and inspiration, and it tells us to never give up and pass the torch on.